like I said, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and ask it in the general chat section. But all right, guys. When it comes to levels, I usually get all my levels on the 5 and 15 minute chart. When it comes to intraday price action, sometimes I like to look at bigger trends through the hourly time frame. But when I'm looking to get levels on my smaller time frame, which I usually play all the time on intraday, I get the levels off the 5 and 15 minute. When I usually start off my levels, I usually like to go up to the last 5 minute candle. Since we're at all-time highs right now, I like to go to the last 5 minute candle and go to where the last body opened at and rejected, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw that up as my first level. When it comes to my levels, I usually like to draw them up on the 15 minute time frame. It gives me the most insight on what's going on today wise. On the 15 minute, it gives me the best confirmations, but sometimes I had to go on the 5 minute just so we can see what was the lowest 5 minute candle that we had rejected from, and gives us a little bit more insight on that. When it comes to my levels, guys, I usually like to have my levels a few dollars separated from each other. A lot of people sometimes say that there's a lot of levels. Well, it's usually people just on Twitter and stuff on social media saying a lot of levels, but once we place levels down and everything, it just looks like a lot of levels because I zoom out to get all the to show you guys all the levels when I'm taking a screenshot of it. But when we're playing it intraday wise, the levels are usually a good couple dollars separated. But like I said, the first level I'm gonna draw is 689.60. I'm gonna go ahead and look for a level to I usually draw up all my white levels first. Then from my white levels, I usually draw up my red levels. My white levels are my key pivot levels, which I'm looking at the most resistance from on these levels. And when I'm drawing these levels down, like I said, I like to have them a few dollars separated. And I'm looking at every single body and close of these candles, kind of looking like a ping pong game right now, where I see this level hold right here, reject. Once we reject this level, we usually like to see the downside of this right here. These candles were crazy from M4MC, so just gotta usually ignore some crazy wicks. But I like the move right here from 689.60 to 685.09, especially over the fact that I see us holding this level over here, and then it continue to go up. But sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to draw up the exact level because I like to go through every single candle body open. So this one's opened up at 689.07, 685.03. Especially at all-time highs right here, guys, it's a little bit harder to get these levels. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip on the 5 minute time frame as well, see what works best in this area. This candle opened up at 09, 12. A little bit of chop right here, but what we can see right here, once we start getting the confirmation closes below it, stayed below it. I like the 685.09 level just based off over here. We open right here, continue try pushing right here. We got the gap up, retested the level, held the level, pushed up. In this case right here, I need above 685.09 to continue this trend right here, below 685.09. Like I said, I'm going to draw up all the white levels first, and then once I draw them all up, I'm going to go ahead and draw up all my red levels. My red levels are just my supply and demand zones. 685.09 to 679.80. I'm going 5 minute time frame. Gets a little tricky right here with all-time highs. Yeah, there's not too much price action in these zones to kind of show me. Sometimes when there's areas where there's not too much price action, sometimes I like to just wait it out a little bit. But I think in this case right here, 685.09 to 679.55 just based off the last data that we got in this area and the only data. And I usually like it right here. We can see it right here. Hold below it, pushes back below it, holds below it, pushes back down. I might look to add another level around these areas right here, just in case we do end up trying to get a little bit more choppy in these areas. We can have a little bit more levels, but I'll leave that for right now. And then I'll start pushing down right here. So below 679.55, I like to move down to right here. There's also all-time highs as well, so that's why I'm also going back on the. I don't really use the extended trading hours chart too much, but right here I kind of have to just because like I said, we're at all-time highs, so we don't have too many. We don't have too much volume in these areas to kind of show us what's going on, but I like to hold above 675.11 based off this one candle alone. 675.71, I mean. Below 679.55, I'll be looking for the move back down to around the 675.71 area. For sure this gap fill. Below 675.71, I'll be looking at. Can you guys hear me by any chance? Because this every time I talk on Discord, it shows that I'm talking, but I see some people saying that they don't hear my voice right now. If you guys can hear me, please confirm on trading floor. Okay, it's looking like maybe just people using their cell phones are having issues. So if you guys aren't on your cell phone, but I know people with PCs are working on it. Every time I speak, it shows that I'm talking as well. So below 675.71, I like it's the last candle right here. I like the retest of this FEG over here from from the last time we pushed up. Interesting. Okay, this gives us a little bit more price action to play around with. So let me see. I like to use the most recent data it gives us, but sometimes I like to scroll a little bit back just to get a full confirmation that I like this level that I'm placing down right here. 96. It's gonna open at 02. 02. Below 675.71, I like to move back down to 673.02. Below 673.02, You guys are just gonna have to bear with me a little bit, guys. Sometimes, like I said, I like to look at every single candle is placed where exactly where I want it. So I'm just gonna look at a little bit of compare a lot of candles with each other. I just don't really like this candle right here because this just looks like a liquidity sweep before taking out calls real quick. So if price action gets choppier, that's just, our levels are going to show it. Our levels are going to be a little bit more closer with each other compared to areas that is less choppy. So sometimes when like some of these levels are a little bit more spread out than others, I'm just basing it off the price action that is giving us around these zones right here. So I think based off the last time we were in these areas up here, I think I'm just gonna leave this low right here. From 673.02, we get a confirmation close below that. We start pushing to 670.24. Below 670.24. Like to move down to from 670.24. I'm liking to move down to 666.82. Or review call level from that level. Give me one sec. I'm gonna read the chat just in case anybody has any issues. Yeah, I'm not sure why some people are having issues. Some people say they can't hear me. Is he talking? Well, hopefully it's recording in the voice. I had a little pre-test recording on voice, and it was grabbing my voice earlier. So if you guys can't hear me, like I said, it will be recorded. So below 666.82. Below 663.82. Below 666.82. I like 663.62. Below 663.62. I like. Damn, that was a tongue twister. My bad. uh, let's see. I like it right here. It gives us a clear example right here, kind of like a ping pong game. We hold below the level, start going down. We start getting equal lows from the level, and the last higher low. lower high, I mean. It starts continuing down right here. We can now get the break above. So I finally did get the break above. So let me see. This kind of opened up at 64, 60, 65, 64. Which candle did I put it on that had a and below 658.15? I like to move down to, let me see how it moved after hours after we touched that right there. What was the last candle I was comparing it to? I'm not gonna pay no mind to this candle right here because this is the end of the trading day right here. So after it closed right here, we can see it closed below the level. Try pushing a little bit down till the next day it gapped up, obviously. Um, I like that level right there. 658.15, that's 653.75. Let me just confirm it over here. Yeah, I mean, kind of shows it right here as well, but these levels are a little bit more confusing, not too much more price action to compare it to, so I'm just gonna use the latest price action that we got based off these levels right here and just base it off that. 658.15, we get the confirmation close below that. We start holding below that. I got the move down to 653.75, and then this is gonna be the last level I'm gonna hold, put it down to right here. Last key pivot 647.50. I'm just gonna see if there's another key pivot in between these levels right here. If not, probably just supply and demand zones from here. But I would like to add another level because right now I don't have any key pivots. From this key pivot to this key pivot, it's a $6 difference. And the price range right here does get a little bit tighter, so I might just leave this right here at $2 separation. I'm gonna go over my levels real quick just to see if there's any adjustments I would like to make between these levels. I might look to add some levels in between some of these because I usually like to have my levels around $3 separated, kind of max right there. So it's just all time highs. So the levels that I'm putting down right now is the levels that it's been showing us honestly. And then obviously the levels get a little bit tighter once I add supply and demand zones on here. But all right, I'm gonna go all the way from the top and start adding supply and demand zones. I usually add one supply and demand zones in between all my levels right here. The supply and demand zones kind of just show me like just kind of like a supply and demand zone. We hold below the supply zone. We start pushing back down to test the demand zone. Right here, we broke below demand zone and key pivot. We're inside the supply zone. We push down right here, and give me one sec. I usually make my levels red. Right here we push below. Let me see, where's our supply zone right here. Like in this case right here, we're kind of just chopping it up a little bit, holding underneath our key pivot, holding between supply zone. We finally break below supply zone. We start pushing down right here. Sometimes there's going to be some liquidity grabs like right here. I usually just try to ignore these liquidity grabs. I'm going to see, let's see, these levels are $6 separated as well. I'm going to see if I draw another level because sometimes when we get to all-time highs, it's better if we just add another level just to be safe because sometimes there's just a lot of choppiness. I know the price action this week wasn't too hot. 685.09 to 681.99, and then 681.99 to 679.55. I like that right there. This is $4 separated. That ain't too. This isn't too bad. Let me see. There's not really too much other price action to base it off right here, but I'm just basing it off the recent all-time high push right here. We got that all-time high push. We still held our key pivot down here, and we just continue pushing up. We pushed above demand, started getting the push all the way back up to supply zone. So I don't like them. I don't like these levels right here. I mean, I don't mind these levels right here. I like them. All right, now my supply zone underneath 685.09. Let's see. Below 685.09, my supply is 683.89, and my demand zone is going to start above 681.99 to I think that key pivot, I'm gonna move it down to a few cents below to 681.73. It just makes a little bit more sense right here. We finally start holding it up both times right here, push up right here, hold up, push up, right here, break below, push down. I don't know why my trading view keeps doing that. It just keeps lagging. I have to move my mouse around the whole screen and put so they can load up again. But my supply zone underneath 681.73 right here. Not too much price action to base it off around. So the main things I'm just gonna be looking at in this area right here is below 681.73. I would like to get the move back down to 679.55. These supplies, I'm just gonna put down the supply and demand zones based off the recent price action we've had around these areas, but I'm I'm, I'm most likely gonna move them around a little bit once we get more candles in these areas. So this candle opened up at 02. I got the level at 04. This candle opened up at 04. All right, I don't mind that either. This candle opened up at 55. All right, so below 681.73, I got my supply and demand zones, but since there's not too much area, too much price action right here, first thing I'm gonna be looking at is below 681.73. I'm gonna be having 684 price target right here. 680 680.04 to 679.55, and below 679.55 I got more downside to fill up this gap right here. Not really too much price action to base this off of around right here, so I'm just gonna draw what these last candles gave us. I'm gonna go back on the 5 minute because 679.55 to 678.41 is my supply zone. My demand zone 675.71 to 676.48. Yep. Right here is just really slow price action. I try to make out more levels around here, but I like the move right here below 678.41. We fill this gap right here. Looking for the price target of 676.48 to 675.71. Right here, we don't got too much price action in this area right here, except over here. Yep, right here, not too much levels to base this out about around either. So below 675.71, I'm gonna be looking at retest of this FVG over here. Most likely between 673.55 to 673.02. Below 673.02, we get the remaining of this gas filled out. I'm not even gonna draw demand supply zone over here since I don't have any price action to draw supply zone over here. But below 673.02, my supply zone will be. Let's see. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop both of them down and then move them around. My bad if I'm mumbling sometimes, guys. I'm just used to talking to myself sometimes. So okay, so I like this one right here. We hold above demand. We start pushing to supply right here. Hold demand, push up below supply, push down, open 11. That's where I got that level from. Right here, hold below it. Levels make a little bit more sense, guys, once when you guys have a good amount of data to put it right in front of you, because you can easily see right here, find the levels right here. We hold this area right here, but it keeps bouncing between these areas right here till we finally get the break right here. Break, push up, break below, stay down, break right here, push up. So it's not that complicated finding levels. It's just it takes a little bit of time. That's the one thing about levels. But sometimes once you get the level session out the way in the beginning of the week, then there really shouldn't be other problems. You can just adjust the levels as the week goes. I like this demand right here, 670, 660, 791. We hold every single time right here, push up, right here, a little bit of chop, so I'm not gonna mind this candle right here. But once we finally get away from this little chop to continue our push up, hold demand, push up, hold demand, hold demand, hold below demand on this little push down that is going on, hold demand, retest, keep pivot, keep pushing down, hold demand, push up. The placement of where I put every single level doesn't really matter. I don't have like no specific. It's just putting out all based on the price action that it was last giving us around these areas, around this range. I'm not gonna mind this one right here because right here we're on the 15-minute time frame right now, so these candles are a little bit bigger. We can see right here clearly we got the push into demand, but we got the retest of key pivot, so doesn't matter right here. It looks like it was just trying to break above demand, and the continuation finally continued to push above demand and gave us the supply zone. Right here broke above demand, pushed up, broke above demand, pushed up. So now my supply and demand zones below 663, 62. Yeah, on the 5 minute, these levels make a little bit more sense. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna check the chat. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Man, I'm not sure why people are having issues with my. I don't know why people are having issues looking at. Can you guys hear me right now, or is it still having issues? Because every time I talk, my OBS is capturing my mic. Discord is capturing my mic. Good on your side. Okay, yeah. I mean, my bad about that, guys. I guess just gonna have to probably wait till I post this somewhere during the week, but I like below 662.06 to continue down. I think right here was just a really slow chop, and right here we had a VWAP push up, if I remember correctly. Yep, right here it says VWAP retest, so that's why I continue pushing up. And it was kind of making like a staircase pattern in this case. Every uh, every bounce up was a higher low in this case right here. So and VWAP topped it up right there. Below 665, 658.15. I don't even know where I got 665. All right. Let's see. 658.15 to 665.59 supply zone. Right here doesn't give us too much price action based off our demand zone, so I'm gonna scroll back a little bit, try to pin our demand zone based off this. Not too much price action right here to base off. I'm just gonna look at the top of these wicks over here. I'm just gonna leave this demand zone right here, 654, 62, and probably just gonna have to adjust it once we get back to these ranges right here. Below 653.75. 652.25, just based off this hold right here. We hold again, so it's just a slow downtrend right here till we break again, and we finally break below supply zone. We go down and go ahead and go and test our demand zone right there. And then right here, we're just gonna draw up our last supply and demand zones, and then from here, we're gonna figure out how we get our levels to the upside. Yeah, Eddie, my bad, bro. I don't know, Ed Diesel. My bad, bro. I don't know what's going on with Discord right now with the, but I know Discord is capturing my mic and OBS where I'm recording this off is capturing my audio, so I'm not sure what the issue is right now with that. 649.93, 649.01 right here. Like I said, our levels are just gonna depend on how choppy the price action is. These levels are pretty tight right here, showing us um that we just got to be a little bit more aware in these areas when we're playing them because the price action is just going to be a little bit more tighter with each other. Open 14, perfect 13 right here. All right, guys, and these are the last supply and demand zones that we're going to get to the downside. If we were to continue breaking down any lower, these are the levels that I got last time when we were all on live. But we haven't really tested these lows yet, so I don't see any point in having to change them up. And then now I'm just gonna go ahead and get the levels, what I look at to get levels to the above all-time highs just in case we gap up or break all-time highs and continue our push up just so we can get price targets. When I'm looking to get levels to the upside, I'm pretty much just use fibs. All our levels are pretty much similar with fibs. I would say the only thing difference between our levels and fibs is they're pretty similar, but I just like using our levels a little bit better, taking my time, going cent through cent with every single open and wake of every single candle, just because we're gonna be a little bit more spot on compared to fibs, which fibs are pretty close spot on as is, but I just like drawing up my own levels so I can be as close to the cent that I like it to. So I'm gonna draw my fibs, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw from my last key pivot right here, 685.09. 685.09, and I'm gonna start the fibs right here, and I'm gonna drag it all the way up to our last key pivot up here, which is 689.60. Whatever, I'll put it at 59. It doesn't make too much of a difference. But this right here just shows me the price targets once we break above 689.60. Above 689.60, I'm looking for the price target of 692.38. But I would say the next major resistance would be at 696.87, but obviously it's good to have price targets right here. So above this right here, it's a $3 difference pretty much. So that's good returns on ODTs. So if we were to get a push above this right here, obviously I'll be looking for this right here, but this would just need a lot of variables to play along with it as well, like holding of fair value gaps, EMAs holding up, so on a good uptrend right here. So these are going to be all my levels right here, guys. Do you guys have any questions on any types of setups, any type of questions on levels? If you guys have any confusions, let me know, please. But if not, this is all I got on today's session right here. And like I said, if you guys always don't have a question, forgot your question right now, but think about one later, you guys are welcome to ask it in the trading floor. I'll answer when I'm available. So, we're all humans. Sometimes we all got plans. So, but as soon as I can answer it, I will go ahead and answer it. But just let me know if you guys have any questions or anything. If not, then that's pretty much the end of this session right here. Going once, going twice. Hold on, I see somebody says something in this chat right here. My bad, fellas. I told you guys to general trading floor chat. I wasn't checking the chat in the voice chat live stages. My bad about the issues with volume. I think that was just a issue Discord wise. I don't think that was an issue from me wise because a lot of people are still hearing me. But I'll go over I'll be listening to the recording again. Hopefully, it got my voice and everything. I don't really have a sentiment tomorrow. I'm just gonna see where we open up at. Same way that I draw up these levels. I usually just draw them up on the hourly time frame as well. So this is what I'll pretty much be looking at the on the hourly. And we can hold above 679.80 on the hourly tomorrow. I got us pushing up, but I can see right here the hourly just. I'm gonna draw this up as our supply zone. If we hold below 684.89 on the hourly, we're making another lower high, and I'm gonna be looking at if we get a break below 679.80, be pushing right here, but I'll be looking at I'll be looking at 684.09, hopefully a good sweep above 685.39 so we can get clear price action to see above 685.39. I got us pushing all-time high levels again. So I just look at the same thing. I just draw up the candles the same way I draw them up on the intraday wise, just on the bigger time frame, which this is on the hourly. I don't really look at Greek, so I kind of already have an idea of how contracts move, depending if we get good price action that day. So when it comes to levels and choosing strikes and everything, I kind of just base my strikes off of the fact if we can. Give me one sec, guys. I don't know why my screen did that. I choose my levels based off the fact if we like if I'm looking to get shorts up here, I'm looking at a strikes close to my first price target. Right here 685. We're pretty much around close to the 685 area. I'm looking for maybe like a strike, depending on the time of day. Obviously, of course, if it's a little bit closer to the end of the day, I'm gonna look at strikes closer to 682. But if it's a little bit early in the day still, and depending on the way the cons are priced out, I might look at cons at around 681. And I kind of like the cons that are kind of like around 20 to $30 per con because I don't know. I've noticed that it gives me the best returns, and I played all types of cons, but those cons are the ones that give me the best returns when I get a good move that I want. Obviously, closer in strikes are a little bit more resourceful if and hopeful if we're getting chopped in that specific time as well. And if we're getting chopped in this specific time and I'm playing 681s and it's taking forever to go down to 681, my strikes are not gonna pay as much as cons that are like 683 and stuff like that. So it just depends on the time of day and depending on how the price action is looking at that exact moment. Anytime, my boy. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, this is your last chance to ask. If not, these are gonna be the levels that I'm gonna be pushing out till tomorrow. And then, obviously, if I gotta make some adjustments, I'll make some adjustments, and I drop them in the chart analysis section. But I think that's all for tonight, guys. If you guys have any questions, you guys can add me in the trading floor. But I hope you guys take care. Have a good night, and just lock in for tomorrow. Peace out, guys.